On the Fringe with Dan RadioStyle. Hope everybody out there is having themselves a great day. In Sun Tzu's The Art of War, he frequently talks about how when you're strong, you want to appear weak. And when you're weak, you want to appear strong. And right now, there's a lot of people on the left that are really capitalizing on something that I think is truly a perception of weakness, but absolutely not indicative of such. First off, the rally that happened recently. The numbers weren't quite what they expected in person. And there's a number of things that were happening around that. One, we got a giant COVID virus thing going on. Two, supposedly there was some mischief going on within TikTok or within that application. A lot of people on the left were trying to, I think, buy tickets that weren't actually planning on showing up. All right, cool. We also had protesters that were, I think, a little bit on the thuggery side. Some Antifa type sorts were blocking one of the gates. So a whole bunch of people that were there to kind of go into those gates couldn't. So apparently there was thousands that were left outside. That all being said, it's okay. In my opinion, this is the first rally after many, many months. The fact that we had a rally is celebratory. Like, that's the thing that's amazing. Now, I watched a bunch of it. Was it his best work? No. Was the energy a little different? Yeah. Again, getting back into the swing of it. It's one of the reasons why they want us locked up inside. We've got some slides to suggest that as well. So this whole movement of trying to keep us locked up inside, trying to keep us from talking to each other, trying to keep us from being allowed to say whatever we want on the internet, trying to keep us from being able to gather in church, trying to keep us from being able to gather outside, trying to keep us hidden. You can't even see smiles anymore. Like, you've got to get really good at seeing right your eyes when you smile. Right? They go a little slanty on you, right? That's, I guess, how you know they're smiling, but it's super challenging sometimes, and sometimes the mask will move up. But again, we're in a weird place that's just, I don't know, not very friendly, to say the very least, not very touchy-feely. You can't hug people anymore. What is going on? And it really seems like there's more to this, and the timing of it's certainly suspect, but I'm really focusing on there's more to this. Now, is it really about the virus like they constantly talk about, or is it really about trying to alter the elections? Is it really about trying to take a very weak candidate that the deep state has that's not really letting anyone else come into play, right? All the people on the left, all these progressives want people that are basically not a white male, and that's who they want to vote for. Yet, oddly, that's exactly who they chose to be the person to represent them? What? Like, none of this makes sense. So they've got to keep Biden kind of locked down in the bunker in the basement or wherever. I'm making a bigger deal about it. I'm sure he's, maybe on the first floor only. But that being said, he's in the bunker, and he's, giving his little interviews and whatnot, but he's not out in public either. And if he was, it's going to be tragic. Now, I guess they're talking, 4 debates now? I don't know. We'll see how many there actually are. I think after the first one, it's going to be interesting because I just can't imagine how Biden's going to survive all that. We'll see how this plays out. A lot going on in the Q posts. Post 4484 is where we last left off. The Supreme Court or whatever of New York, the importance of them controlling this area. So a lot of questions happening. Obviously, we had an individual that used to be the AG over in this area, and he's basically was asked to change his tune, or he was going to step out or whatever. And they basically said, hey, look, since you feel like you don't have to follow the rule of law and you kind of made a spectacle about this and you think that you need to be there in order to keep the work up, we just want to inform you that it is up to the president to be able to fire you. And so, hey, guess what? You're fired, like President Trump was famous for doing in his reality TV show, which pisses people off that we've got a reality TV show president, but you voted for him. We voted for him. This is what we kind of wanted. Now, if he can tone down some of his anger-causing rhetoric, okay, but whatever. That's really my only place where it would be nice if some of the people in the middle had an easier time kind of approaching this situation. But I think the divide is kind of purposeful and sort of meant to accomplish something right now. It's separating the wheat from the chaff. Those who basically are on the left, on the against the freedom side of life. Like, I want to be able to tell you what you can do. I want to tell you what products you're allowed to use. You're not allowed to drink soda anymore. You can only go to churches where I say or when I say, or this very sort of ultimatum, like I tell you how you need to feel, what pronouns you have to use. Like, I'm going to control your whole life, your opinion. Versus hey, man, just do what you want. Like, I don't agree with you, but that's cool. Like, we're free. We're going to agree to disagree. Two very different sides. And the one side, I think, is really presenting their hypocrisy, really presenting how backwards they are in their thinking. So some of the stuff that happened in New York, the Southern District, I guess is what SD is. It finally hit me. Wiener's evidence is in that area. So that's been under lock and key by a specific individual that wasn't letting people see it. All the Clinton Foundation stuff that was happening, all the investigations there, controlled in this same office by the same individual that's no longer working. Epstein evidence collection was there. Ukraine evidence is there. A lot is going on in that location. So why do you think it was really important to get things moving? Because somebody wasn't allowing things to move. A blocker was found and is now removed. People are freaking out, calling Trump all sorts of things, but the fact of the matter is if you're not doing what needs to be done, if you're not helping get the truth out, and if you're not allowing me to present the evidence I got, then, hey, guess what? That's not going to work. We can't have that. So, again, we've got to change things. So, of course, we want to keep tabs on what's going on. Let's look at this first post, though. Attorney General William P. Barr on the nomination of Clayton to serve as the U.S. Attorney for the Southern District of New York. So it's a very cool article here. We'll go ahead and do a quick check on it, see if anything jumps out. But he's pleased to announce President Trump intends to nominate Jay Clayton, currently the chairman of Securities and Exchange Commission. Now, people are freaking out about the fact that Trump's basically using powers within his office to change out attorney generals, which has been done by numerous different presidents on both sides of the aisle for a long time. Very normal behaviors. A lot of work, and certainly a lot that the Senate's been working on to get all these people approved. But guess what they've been busily working on? So again, a lot of things are happening and changing. Trump's making changes. The deep state, the mainstream media, the general voice of what's happening out there is void of this type of information. They still keep painting the picture that, look at the polls, Trump's doing horribly. Look at this, Trump's doing horribly. Look at this, Trump's doing horribly. Look at his orange hair, right? Like, they don't have anything of substance, and they make up numbers, right? The polls are crap. The polls had Hillary winning by many points right up until the day of the election. Those polls, they were very wrong. Where do you think these polls come from? Why do people believe the polls? It's silliness. So again, the statement that got this guy all in trouble, Mr. Jeffrey, I don't even trust people that spell Jeff with a G. And if you're one of them, I'm sorry. I mean, I'll trust you. But this guy, I can't right now. Geoffrey, it's not even with a J like it should be. Right? Can't trust this guy. He's the United States Attorney General, Southern District. I learned in a press release from the Attorney General tonight that I was stepping down as United States Attorney. I don't know why I'm making him a whiner, but whatever. It sounds fun. I have not resigned. I have no intention of resigning my position to which I was appointed by the judges of the United States District Court for the Southern District of New York. I will step down when a presidentially appointed nominee is confirmed by the Senate. Until then, our investigations will move forward without delay or interruption. I cherish every day that I work with the men and women of this office to pursue justice without fear or favor, and intend to ensure that this office's important cases continue unimpeded. Kind of a little bit of a DB kind of a tinge to it, right? A little bit of a vinegar and water kind of approach to life. What's going on with this guy? Why does he feel like he's somehow elevated above the law, above what you're supposed to be doing? Very interesting how that played out. So the guard's refusing to step down? Oh, no. POTUS's refusal to formally nominate? Appointed to post by the Southern District New York judges, unusual, and removal of the acting person. So it's very unusual for this to have happened. The stakes are very high now, people. Things are getting into the timing phase as well. Again, elections coming up. You act as though you're weak when you are strong. And so again, Trump's doing some very strong behaviors kind of behind the scenes and not really up ruffling her feathers. He's letting that McInerney or whatever her name is walk around being all beautiful and telling people what's going on. So that's what she's doing. So she's helping him in that regard and kind of taking some of that pressure so he can work on the important things. So they are going to continue to fight. The Super Bowl puppy show. That's kind of cute how they phrase it like that. 4485. So they're kind of referring to the code section here where, in C especially, each United States attorney is subject to removal by the president. It's really the key that they're calling out here. So Barr can be fired. Barr can fire Berman, right? And basically, yeah. Now, this is interesting. I've seen this picture. Do the on-ons understand what's about to be unleashed? Now, again, here's that color, and I was tripping on the color the other day. They had like 3 pictures that I found kind of separately from Q posts, and this was actually one of them. And what I think they're pointing out is the symbol that the leash is making, which is pretty impressive because they must have just caught this, like these people that are sick in the head and can see these, like, oh my God, that made the symbol. Like, I didn't see this. When I first saw this, I'm like, oh. So now that someone's put a little green color around it, now I get it. I think that's the symbol for like what that Nambla or whatever, the boy love or whatever that is, right? I don't know the exact name of it. I'm not going to pull up any images because for sure it's going to get me in trouble. But I believe that's what they're pointing to. So some of those P-file activities, I think, are starting to come to the surface. And so I think that's kind of what they're talking about when they say, do you realize what's about to be unleashed? Now, something to consider, if you think about a lot of court stuff that needs to happen, right? There's a lot of evidence against Hillary. There's a lot of things that are already lined up. There's subpoenas that are out there basically saying, hey, you need to show up to court. Not subpoenas, but, people need to come to court and dates are set, right? And so what's one of the best ways to keep that from happening or slow that down? It's dangerous to go out there and I got a mask and I can't talk when I look. So you, of course, need to make sure that you wait until after the danger has passed. It's too dangerous for me to go to courts. I mean, I want to do my civic duty. I truly do. Of course, I've got nothing to hide, but it's dangerous. You understand. We'll go ahead and wait a while until you forget or we can get you out of office. I mean, we'll wait a little while until the pandemic's gone. Post 4486, CIA director, early 2017, 2018. This is the whole thing around Pompeo. External advisory board members during this time. Was Bill Barr a member of this board? Yes. What advantages might exist incoming AG Barr regarding members of external advisory board, CIA? So right here, I'm just going to kind of break this in a lot of things because I've read a few things on this, and both sides are kind of claiming this is significant. And so that always confuses me, other than the fact that it's probably significant because usually in the middle of the two sides is where the truth actually lies. But it's a little tricky to figure out exactly why, but I think this is the key in this particular sentence. Barr was a member of the board. I think he was part of Time Warner or something like that. He was representing, I think, media or whatever. Oddly, I don't know why. What advantages might exist to that? Well, if he's been sitting on these boards prior to Pompeo, or when Pompeo was there, prior, I think, then he would have an idea of some of the things that were going on. Barr would already be aware of what was going on. I think Barr he also used to work for the CIA, right? So Barr's kind of been in this business for a while, or at least he wasn't CIA. He was the AG before, I believe. And then you've got Pompeo, part of the... So again, there's this... I think they knew what was going on. It kind of gets back to people keep saying they know where the bodies are buried. I'm sure there's someone that's got much better analysis on this. But there's kind of this key to this. And I really think the fact that they know what they know, it's probably why these people got involved right now as they have, and why they're making a difference, why Barr came back. He didn't need to, right? These people are doing the things they're doing. Pompeo's background, and the fact that they're trying to get him in trouble for the way he put together these advisory boards, the meals they had, like he felt that people are trying to say they lavish stuff. It's really weird the direction the left is trying to take this as far as their way of saying it's stinky. The right's being quiet or doesn't really say anything about it, which is cool because it seems like a lot of the leaks aren't there anymore. So there's some behind the scenes stuff. And usually when the left starts bitching, it's because they're scared and they're already preparing the cover story. So this bothers them a lot. So again, it must be done right, must be according to law, must be proven or provable. And if what you don't see, right? It's what you don't see. And that's what they keep saying. So Durham... Basically, it sounds like they're coming out and saying Durham's been the cover. And Durham is doing legit stuff. Too legit to quit. Hey. But he is. He's doing all the legit stuff. The problem is there's someone else that's doing all the other stuff. Probably a lot of the deeper stuff. The stuff they're not talking about because it's so heavy and crazy. And like if people actually knew that there were major pedophiles being rounded up or being targeted right now to be taken down, that there were actually people in high power positions, companies, media, like a lot of names that are probably going to be famous, or at least the companies that they are in charge of are going to be very famous to us. These days are coming, and again, timing's going to be key. There's a lot of people that say, do it now, do it now, do it now. Nope, now's not the right time. Building up to it. Again, it's been all trust the plan for a very long time. Now, this is a very cool, perfect analogy this lady brings up. So, as she says, you're like the one girlfriend you had that's just an idiot that believes every lie some guy tells her in a bar. This is pretty awesome. It's just because it's, and I love the Southern accent. Her accent is so freaking awesome.
What would be your response to, mainstream media talking heads, the mainstream medical heads saying, oh, like this rally is going to cause so many deaths?
We discussed that earlier. They are like that one girlfriend you have that's just an idiot that believes every lie some guy tells her in a bar. About the 20th time you lie to her, at some point you've got to say, honey, stop that. Look it up yourself. Stop being an idiot. That's what people are that are listening to it over and over again because the data is available. Numbers don't lie. Politicians and statisticians do, but the numbers will not. Read through it. Find out what the actual data is based on. Not COVID related, or they could spell COVID and they died. What really killed them? That's what they need to know.
So what's kind of powerful, and I guess now's the time to kind of bring this up, and I think I was wondering about when to do that. And why is there 3 links? That's interesting. I got all this other crap in here. But anyway, that being said, we're going to pull a couple slides right now. Hope I can find my way back. Now this claims to be, and I say that, but it is, and I've got the sources to back it up, but it claims to be information from cdc.gov, www.cdc.gov. Now this shows the number of pneumonia deaths by week. Over the past number of years, it looks like we've got 2013 to 14, right? They do it in seasons, like school years. Probably a good way to look at it, right? Because the flu season starts here in the North America in the winter, and that obviously starts last year and then cooks into this year, right? So as you can see, you got week 50, 51, 52, week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4, blah, 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 blah. So as you can see, towards the end of the year, we get a lot of flus, and then oddly comes back down. And so right here, this is up over 5,000. This is 5,000 right here per week, deaths per flu. And when you start to add all these numbers up, you end up with many thousands per year. Now, the funny thing is, oddly, this red line, 2019 to 2020, this right here is week 12, week 11, week 12. Now, just to do some basic math, 4 weeks in a month, week 12 would be the end of the 4th month, right? So the end of April, we no longer really count pneumonia deaths. Where do you think those deaths go? Because the graph probably, really, because it started the same, probably finishes the same, but for some reason it's been cut short. I just wonder what they might do with extra numbers that they could have available, thousands per week. What are we, potentially up over 3,500 here? That's 4,000 actually. There's 4,000, more than 35, right? Like per week, there's thousands of deaths. Wow, I bet when you add all those together, it almost starts to get up there over 100,000 barely, kind of, sort of. CDC.gov, flu weekly, hashtag 52. Shows 52 week, this is 2019 to 2020. What you can see right here, these are week numbers. These are kind of hard to see maybe. I'll see if I can zoom in a little. We'll try my best. 2020, so yeah, and then that's week 10 in that year. And you can see that the numbers are falling drastically. And then we get to week 12, week 14, and there's almost no. This is cdc.gov, flu weekly, all right? And so we'll just go here. Here's another little gis.cdc.gov. And again, the same basic graph kind of showing that by week number, all of a sudden pneumonias are changed drastically. So something's kind of going on there that's a little interesting. Now we got over here, post 4487, referencing a Twitter post. Let's check this out. So just in, a little bit ago, AG William Barr responds to Southern District New York Attorney Jeffrey Berman. Unfortunately, with your statement of last night, you have chosen public spectacle over public service. I've asked the president to remove you as of today, and he has done so. And yeah, so there you go. There's a little article, and it links the ABC News. We're not going to get into all that. But again, it states in here, I was surprised and quite disappointed by the press statement you released last night. As we discussed, I wanted the opportunity to choose a distinguished New York lawyer, Jay Clayton, to nominate as United States Attorney, and was hoping for your cooperation to facilitate a smooth transition. When the Department of Justice advises the public of the President's intent to nominate your successor, I had understood that we were in ongoing discussions concerning the possibility of your remaining in the department or administration in one of the other senior positions. Barr had already talked to him about having a sweet ride. Dude, gonna give you a great job. Just want you out of the way because, frankly, I know what you are. But I don't want to fire you. Come on, man. You've been with the company, right? So, again, Barr tried to keep him. 4488. So we got this Rachel Merton attending President Trump's rally in Oklahoma. Thousands of supporters that couldn't actually get in. So my son and husband had tickets to the attended Trump rally, and this is all the bad people, I guess, right? All the thuggery, all that stuff's down there. They couldn't get in. We need to start showing up when the Bidens hold their gatherings. Can't call them rallies. Not enough to attend. That's more like a barely a crowd, maybe, right? It's like a line. You got like 5 people. Really, it takes 2 to form a line. All right, so it's a line. He manages to make a line. It will not happen again. Remember, they also phone in to report threats. That was deliberate, of course. Heightened security due to recent events, blah, blah, blah. So, again, the left is like just, we won. It's like, no, Trump's going to do another rally. We won because we got a rally in this place. We had actually a lot of people show up, and guess what? We learned a bunch of stuff. We know what you're doing. You guys aren't that smart. I'm not saying you're stupid. I always try not to underestimate my enemy or my foe, probably better. But I'm certainly not going to give you a bunch of points for being super brilliant because you're not much at all. 4489, haven't you figured it out yet? It's not about Trump's corruption, right? These people are in so deep. They're in so deep. The deep state is so deeply tied in, entrenched, and been doing things that have been against the American people for years. And really, it's finally coming to an end. And the way it's playing out, Trump's the president. These people are fighting. It's the drama of dramas. It's the Telemundo series that you've been waiting for your entire life. It's incredible. There's a lot going on. Now, oddly, they reference this YouTube video, Focus on 2145. I'm going to even open it up live just to demonstrate that the one I've already got open is not. But it's just a 2-minute and 52-second song with Trump's picture. Not even his best picture, really. His hair's very white in this picture. There's no orange man bad. There's not enough orange. It's tough. That being said, so can you understand their attempts to stop accountability? Who benefits the most, right? The COVID lockdowns. The POTUS economic gains are wiped. POTUS unemployment gains. The rallies, preventing gatherings. They're trying to dim the energy of the movement, of the people, of our ability to hang out with each other and really spark each other on. They're trying to close churches, trying to close person to person, keep isolation, dim energy, scare people, and they actually say the more you stay inside and stay indoors, your immune system starts to become stressed and not as effective. So that tends to not benefit us, right? We've got all these Democrat mayors and governors that are pushing COVID-positive seniors into hot zones. There's 5 in particular that truly are in trouble with Congress right now, well, at least the good guys. And they're trying to figure out, hey, what information do you have that could potentially explain why you made such a horrible decision? And there's actual talks of third-degree murder, which is ridiculous, frankly, because of how few states support it. But in all honesty, potential manslaughter charges for sure against these governors. And we'll get into that here in a second. So closing churches, increasing the death counts, retaining fear. Again, more death counts, right? Again, we've already shown the graph. So when you start taking away deaths from other normal causes and decide we're going to call that COVID and we're going to lump those numbers in, then even still, when you look at the actual numbers, you see how many people died? Yeah, it's really not that many. It should be a lot more. If it's everything they say, it should be way worse to be shutting down the economy, to be walking around like fricks, masks on our face everywhere. And again, I get it. I wear them when I go in public because it just makes others comfortable. But it gets frustrating to me, and I don't wear them if I don't have to. I don't wear them in the car. I take them off immediately when I walk out of the grocery store, right? Like, I'm as rebellious as I can be without, being a total jerk. but I touch on jerkery a little bit. We got Biden's hideaway to prevent self-embarrassment for sure. Truly, his gaffes have gone way down, right? There are not nearly as many of them these days because, again, they're doing these in an edited fashion. Once he's done the phrase like the 80th time, one of those times he was bound to have gotten it enough right to where they could just cut it and make it sound good. So again, mail-in ballots, pushing that, building public unrest, trying to cause more issues, more fighting. They're trying to release people that have already been busted for causing fighting and trying to get them back into the people, back out into the crowds. We've got dedicated safe zones that mayors have set up. All this stuff has been figured out. So we've got localities that are actually allowing their citizens to be scared, to be put into places where they should be fearful, which is basically terrorism. So we've got mayors and governors in blue states, unfortunately, very blue states for many, many, many years that are allowing this behavior, that are essentially supporting this behavior. And people are seeing it. That's the funny part. People are waking up. Yeah, there's a lot of asleep people that are off on the left that are never going to see it, but there's many that are waking up to this. So again, we've got all this negative stuff that they're trying to keep out of the office. Again, Tara Reid and Biden can't go to court, right? Because it's dangerous right now. We've got negative news around Ukraine, China, family bribing, corruption that Biden was involved with. We've got Antifa starting to realize who's paying for that. Soros is one name that keeps coming up, but there's a lot of stuff going on there. We've got shooting of peaceful protesters. We've got breaching of the White House perimeter. We've got takeover of central location, attempt to breach safety security of the POTUS. Again, all this stuff's been happening. They've got this BLM year push, Wave 2, trying to impose new restrictions to retain the narrative about the mail-in voting. They need the numbers to spike up. Kind of almost makes you wonder if those 5 states, or maybe they're going to grab 5 more blue states and have them do that same bad behavior. I think there's some indications that there might be some truth to that. And again, people are going to be in trouble and have to answer for this. There's a lot of leadership on the left that I think thinks they can do whatever they want, that nothing's ever going to matter and they're never going to get called out. The problem is they're getting called out, they're being shown, and the people are starting to become wise to what's going on. Still trying to halt travel. So again, that causes issues with some of these investigations that Durham's involved, for example, or getting people to come in and testify. Well, I don't feel comfortable doing that. So again, a lot of coordinated effort by the mainstream media. Certainly MSDNC is like very involved with this. There's a few of them, and they are almost the leaders of it. I think if I remember correctly, they were number 3 in the ratings, right? So Fox News, CNN, MSNBC. And I just want to say there's a lot of crossover, but certainly places where they talk about different things. But what are they trying to prevent? Who benefits the most? Think about what they're trying to do. This isn't the election, but this is about, it is the election, but it's about control. It's about power. It's about maintaining things that are going on. And the only way these people can do that is by never being discovered for what they have done. 4490. MSNBC, peaceful, summer of love, right? Because everybody out there catching things on fire, they're just doing that because they want to make s'mores on the beach. But reality seen on social media, right? The actual case of what's going on. There's murder, violence, destruction, anarchy, lawlessness. Did I mention fire? That seems to be out there. Seeing is believing. The age of social media killed their ability to fully control. You can't censor the world. We're the majority. That's us. And when he says you, he means us. We are the majority. We are the ones that are going out and actually spreading the news. So sometimes you can't tell the public the truth. Sometimes you must show them. Does this sound familiar? It's going to.
I flew in with some of our great congressmen who were going to introduce in a second, and I said to him, Congressman, what do you think? I can straighten it out fast. Should we just go in? No, sir. Let it simmer for a little while. Let people see what radical left Democrats will do to our country.
Bam. Right there. I mean, that is it. We need to let people see it. Now, again, of course, the people on the left, they'll paint this, sugarcoat this, they'll spin this however they do. Whatever. Doesn't matter. It's the ones that are waking up. And trust me, there's even people that are left-leaning, even heavily into the left, that are starting to wake up and go, wait a minute. Something's not adding up. Or finally, something is finally gotten too close to one of their special places, right? Like I think of my brother. My brother's on the left. He's got all sorts of weapons. The guy's heavily armed, lives in Washington State. You're allowed to, right? Allowed to have all sorts of crazy stuff. I can't imagine him wanting to give up his weapons. I feel like at that point, that would be like where he would be like, hey, whoa, Second Amendment, right? Even though that's not his gig. So again, everybody's got their little areas where they're just not quite on board with the big picture. But there you go. 4491, have faith in humanity. It's one thing I've been working on. I'll be honest. There are times where I get frustrated with humanity, but I think ultimately in the end, the good people will start to rise. I know the energies of this planet are rising. We have been. I've been working on that myself. My other channel, Dan RadioStyle, it's more manifesting and spiritual crap. Like, that's something I try to help with, right? I've made an effort. So have faith in yourself. Have faith in humanity. And that was for me specifically. I'm pretty sure Q was talking to me on that one. Do not let the media control you. Incite division and hatred for one another by use of propaganda and fear-mongering. As dogma, a point of view that, or a tenet, put forth as authoritative without adequate grounds, which is kind of what's happening. We've got a lot of people on the left that are acting like they're in charge, like they know better. I am the moral authority. I know better than you. Let me tell you what you must do. And you're like, whoa, no, bad idea. I don't like any of the stuff you're talking about. You're silly. You're a silly Willy. I don't even need to call them a mean name. And they'll come back in hard and heavy. And again, it's weird. Their point of view is the only point of view. And if you don't get on board of that, there's going to be problems. But that's the thing. A lot of people aren't really quite like everyone wants to label them. Here's a really cool example of how that can sometimes play out.
Oh, get a picture. Okay. Who the love is Mike?
Take it easy, yo.
Oh, yeah. Off the club. Lock the door now. Watch your foot stuff, Bob. Oh, yeah. Thank you. Thank you so much, fellas.
Stuff like this, man, this is the stuff that actually, one, makes me tear up because it's beautiful. It's beautiful to see people helping people. That's one of my favorite things to see in the world. It's just a beautiful thing. That and animals and people, that's just cute. But anyways, this is a great example of how there's stereotypes all over the place. But you know what? Stereotypes aren't usually right. Stereotypes are just generalities. Yeah, sometimes they're right. Sometimes they're mostly right. Sometimes they're partially right. But they're not fully right. Generalities get us in trouble. Everybody's individual. Everybody has their own choices to make. Doesn't matter what side of the bed you wake up on. Doesn't matter which side of the fence you live on. Doesn't matter which side of the political spectrum you find yourself. Ultimately, at some point, you're going to be faced with the ability to help someone on the other side. And that's a big step for humanity when we make that choice, when we become the difference. 4492, they've showed this picture before, and there's a lot of people that are pretty upset about the way New York's governor handled the COVID virus. Certainly had his declaration or narrative or whatever the proper term is, where he basically said, hey, look, everybody that comes out of the hospital has to be able to be put into these long-term care facilities. They're the only ones that we've got room to have them, even though there was all this extra room. The comfort was coming in. They were building, the National Guard were building beds. So there was beds that had room. They were at 70% capacity. But again, he was worried for whatever reason and decided to force all these COVID positive people into the highest risk environments. And not only did that, but then said, on top of this, you can't test these people and you can't even ask if they have COVID. But if they do, you need to magically know how to properly deal with them, but you can't ask. So what happened? Well, we brought in a lot of guaranteed COVID patients into the highest risk places and managed to create a high number of fatalities. Not very good when that plays out. So how is it possible selectee governors thought it was safe to push COVID-19 positive patients back into nursing homes or hot zones, right? So that's one of the things that's been pointed out by Steve Scalise. 40% of COVID deaths have come from nursing homes. 20,000 deaths were avoidable easily. I think that's a pretty safe estimate. Numbers don't lie. Cuomo does. There's some truth to that. He violated protocol and forced COVID patients into nursing homes. Now he's trying to cover up the horrific outcome, and he must be held accountable. I think we should give this a quick watch as well, because this is pretty fantastic.
As I started looking at the data, we found something pretty alarming, and that is that over 40% of all the COVID deaths in America happened among seniors in nursing homes. Mike, seniors in nursing homes represent about 0.6% of the American population. Less than 1% of the population accounts for over 40% of the deaths. 45 states, by and large, did this the right way, but 5 states, Mike, just 5 states, their governors went against the federal guidelines that were coming out of CMS and decided to force those seniors back that were in hospitals. If you're a senior, you were in a nursing home, you started feeling bad, they sent you to a hospital. Well, if you were COVID positive, these 5 governors forced those seniors back to the nursing home and prohibited the nursing home from even testing to see if they were COVID positive, to know if they were. And these are alarming numbers, by the way, Mike. We've identified over 20,000 seniors who should not have died.
What's really funny is all of us that have been saying this kind of stuff are basically labeled conspiracy theorists and everything else. Here's the evidence. Man, it's true. This is what's been happening. This is what's been happening. It's pretty screwed up. And the 5 states, for those that weren't playing at home, at New Jersey, New York, Michigan, we got California and Pennsylvania are the 5 states that seem to have significantly the highest account of the deaths out of anyone else. So each year, 90% of deaths worldwide related to influenza A virus, IAV, strike men and women aged 65 and older. If the influenza is more deadly among the elderly, it's known that it's like this, how is it possible select D governors thought it was safe to push COVID-19 positively elderly patients back into nursing homes, into these hot zones? Why would this be directed if hospitals or the U.S. Navy medical ships, right? The New York NYC and California both had ships. They both had a lot of extra help. And New Jersey, New York, right? That's all kind of around that same place. These things were created for them. So someone can be accused of 3rd-degree murder if they unintentionally cause someone else's death while committing a dangerous act. Negligent? Reckless, maybe? Who benefits the most? Why only D governors? How do you reasonably explain why this occurred? I mean, it is a little challenging for sure. Why the flu is deadly among the elderly, one of the other things, it's just basically from the Yale School of Medicine. Medicine.yale.edu is the website. Why flu is deadly among elderly, specifically known each year, 90% of deaths worldwide, that's a hard word to say, I guess, related to influenza A, strike men and women age 65 older. Yeah, 90% of them. That's where the highest risk is. And as much as they hated to say it, COVID did seem to have some similarities to the flu. Respiratory kind of got the same way. I don't know. Maybe I'm stretching it. Anyway, there's a big talk here about 3rd-degree murder. I think the important part to really kick down to, first off, 1st degree, obviously you planned it. 2nd degree is more of a, I was hurting someone really badly and then it turned into murder and I really could have stopped it or should have stopped it, but I had every intention of causing them harm. And maybe it spun out of control a little, but whatever. You still intended to do harm to the point of it caused death, which I think the cop on the Floyd thing, that totally falls into my opinion, 2nd degree. 3rd degree was ridiculous. 2nd degree for sure. 1st degree, I don't think he woke up in the morning and said, I'm going to kill George Floyd. I don't think he might have. And if he did, I hope they get him for 1st degree. But that being said. So 2nd degree is that. 3rd degree is basically got a couple different definitions, 3 of them, I guess. And there's only, oddly, 3 states that even have 3rd-degree murder. So not as much of an option as maybe some might like to say. But in Florida, the unintentional, unlawful killing of a human being while committing a non-violent felony, except for certain drug felonies. Okay, that's their definition of 3rd-degree murder. Minnesota, the unintentional killing of another through an eminently dangerous act committed with a depraved mind and without regard for human life. Also includes causing another drug-related death by selling, delivering, or administering a Schedule 1 or 2 controlled substance. Probably drinking and driving could fall into that one too, I would assume, right? If you were knowingly driving drunk, I'm sure that would fall into that category. Pennsylvania's probably got the one I think that makes the most sense from a standpoint of what this article is talking about. But in their case, it's any murder of a human being that is not first or second degree murder. Okay, well, that kind of opens it up, I guess, a little bit. But that being said, not a huge difference. I mean, there is a pretty big difference, especially legally, between those three types. But I don't think they're going to be able to get these guys on third-degree murder, and I think that's kind of retarded, frankly, I'll be honest. But defenses against third-degree murder, that's down there. But they can get into maybe manslaughter. So manslaughter, that's less serious than murder charges that arise when the defendant had no intention to kill and didn't plan it beforehand, but their actions were reckless or negligent to the point that they could have avoided the killing by acting appropriately. No matter what, I think they're guilty here. Now, if they can prove that they had foreknowledge, if they can prove that these 5 governors were working together mysteriously like that, then yeah, they've probably got them on murder charges for sure. I find that might be tricky to prove. So again, I think that's one of the things that a lot of people keep trying to point out to us is, hey, it needs to be provable. Like we can just run around and go, yeah, take them in. But it's like, we really don't have enough information. So again, some of the things you can say against third-degree murder charges as a defense was, it wasn't me. The great Shaggy song, if that goes to anybody. Insanity, right? So I was mentally crazy at the time. Cuomo would probably Biden could pull that one off for sure. Self-defense, I was protecting myself from immediate and serious harm. Yeah, it's going to be a tough one to sell. Defense of others. I was protecting others from serious harm by putting them into serious harm. Yeah, that's a tough one to logically make. What about, I am a public officer who killed without unlawful intent, recklessness, or negligence. Why do you even think that option exists? That sounds like a deep state option to me, doesn't it? Like there's a way to get you off even because you're just doing what you were told. All right, well, hard to say, but there you go. There's some possibilities of things coming down the pike there. 4493, the health official responsible for overseeing the nursing homes in Pennsylvania, where nearly 70% of the state's coronavirus-related deaths have occurred. Yes, long-term facilities. Did I mention the 5? Yes, Pennsylvania was one of them. They've reported moving her elderly mother out of the facility as deaths skyrocketed. This young lady, quite the spectacle. Yeah, she's basically like, hey, look, I was just, my mom's really smart. She's 95, but she's really smart, savvy. She's like, hey, you know what? I don't want to be here. So I just moved her. Okay, but yeah, that's kind of silly. Come on. So of the state's 3,806 coronavirus deaths, 2,611 had occurred in nursing homes and long-term care facilities. So maybe you were worried because, I don't know, 2/3 of all the deaths were happening in the place where your mom was at? Maybe you should get your mom out unless you hate her. Again, was it foreknowledge? I don't know. Hard to say. Oh, yeah, that's fun. 4494. Is this about the virus or the election? I asked this question a billion times. I think we can probably ask it a billion more. Manipulated polls meant to be legitimize the rigged election results. They're already playing those up. We've got the election was not rigged. All the polls demonstrated Biden's clear lead across the country. What happens if China successfully duplicates, clones, select ballots in battleground states? This is one of the things we're talking about right now. Foreign actors being involved with duplicating these papers, printing large quantities of them, so ridiculous numbers of them can be turned in. There's a large talk about foreign or brackets in bold F people being involved. So what happens if coordination exists within selected states to deliver printing and paper ballots recipes or the secrets to how to make them? Because they'll have little encodings on the paper, certain watermarks, the whole 9 yards. There's a lot of things that try to make them legit. So what happens if you give that information to, I don't know, somebody like China or somebody like some other country that wants to do harm to us? Even Russia, even though I don't believe that's true, but just because you guys have been throwing Ukraine and Russia under the bus for almost 4 years now, let's go ahead and throw them under the bus one more time. What if they start printing stuff out and somehow help Trump win again? That sounds dangerous. So that can't be good. But they think they got nothing to lose, right? Logical thinking. So, of course, we got Donald Trump pointing out rigged election, millions of mail-in ballots will be printed by foreign countries and others. It will be the scandal of our times. Now, the fact that he's aware of it and the fact that this is all he's saying on this particular tweet, I think implies to me that they know about this. I think he's trolling a little. Like, they're aware. They've got plans in place. One thing that you know about Trump is he's not tipping his hand on a lot of stuff until he's finally supposed to tip his hand. And even then, it's more of just barely a tip. And then eventually we start talking about it more and more. He'll just start hammering it home. So again, there's kind of a methodology to the way he plays. Everyone calls it 5D chess. I think he's got help. Trump's a smart guy. Don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to diminish what he's doing. But I think we sometimes make him a superhero, which I think is also dangerous. The guy's still human. Come on now. But we're all working as a team, and I think that's what's important about this whole process. 4495, every record has been destroyed or falsified. Every book rewritten. Every picture has been repainted. Every statue and street building has been renamed. Every date has been altered. And the process is continuing day by day and minute by minute. History has stopped. Nothing exists except an endless present in which the party is always right. 1984, George Orwell. Interesting. It does have a similar ring to it. That's really strange. Almost like they took these things and like Mein Kampf and some of these other crazy books, right? And just basically said, all right, there's the blueprint. This is how you do it. This is how you do an insurgency. This is how you take over a government. This is how you take over a country. This is how you take over the United States, the greatest country ever. And so that's what we're here to stop. That's why some of us are serious about what we're doing. If you like the work I'm doing, please subscribe to my channel. If you haven't hit the little bell icon, hit that, hit the little bling blings next to it, and you'll be notified of anything I put out. Also appreciate you sharing and liking the videos, one of the greatest ways you can assist my channel. And if by chance you want to donate, there is a PayPal link below. That is always appreciated, and it helps support this channel. I appreciate each and every one of you. Thank you guys. Stay strong. Where we go one, we go all. It's on the Fringe with Dan RadioStyle.